Hi, my name is Mike from the Maine Primitive Skills School. We're out here today harvesting Japanese knotweed, Falopia japonica. Japanese knotweed is an invasive species. It grows pretty much everywhere. Once you see it and recognize it, you start seeing it in a bunch of different places, along roadsides, along highways, along the side of rivers. This is an example of the plant. From here up, as you can see around, is the skeleton of the plant. And right now it is April in Maine. So this is what the plant is going to look like at this time of year. You're going to look for a skeleton. It looks almost like a bamboo. You can see why the locals would call it bamboo, because it has the same knots as bamboo does, and if I break it open, it's hollow, just like bamboo is. Very similar. What we're harvesting from it are the rhizomes, or the roots. And the reason we're doing so is to use it as medicine. What we're looking for from the root is yellow to orange color. As I shred it apart here, you can see that there's a yellow-orangish color. And that's what we're looking for. And its primary use is as Lyme disease protocol. In his book, Healing Lyme, Stephen Buhner puts it as one of the main 3 ingredients to heal Lyme disease and to prevent it. This is perfect, because as you can see, the roots are very yellow and orange in there. That's what you're looking for. When we're gathering for medicine, we don't want to harvest from roadsides, busy highways, a place where a lot of pollutants are going to build up and the plant can absorb them. We want to talk about Japanese knotweed also as a wild edible. As you can see here, there's a shoot. Right now it's mid-April in Maine, and the shoots are still a little bit small to be harvested. However, in about a week, 2 weeks, they'll be higher and they'll be perfect for harvesting. Lyme disease is becoming a problem in Maine. You may have noticed the amount of ticks already this year. There are more cases of Lyme disease this season already in Maine, and it's only April, than all of last season combined. There are also large amounts of Japanese knotweed that have been popping up in the last 5 to 10 years in this area. Some people say it's just a coincidence, but other people say nature provides for us when we need it. Now that we harvested Japanese knotweed, we've brought it inside, and I'm going to show you how to slice it up. Right now it's fresh, so it's easier to slice. And we're going to try to slice it on angles, like so. What we're trying to do is expose the most amount of the plant. If we slice it on angles, that exposes more. It seems as though most people hold a kind of negative energy towards invasive species, especially Japanese knotweed. This does not mean to advocate the propagation of invasive species, but the use of them, I think, is very important. It seems as though that the wisdom of nature has put them there, perhaps for a reason. And why not take advantage of that? The chemicals that we're after in Japanese knotweed, one of them is called resveratrol. You could go to the health food store and you could buy a bottle of resveratrol in capsules, and the main ingredient will be Japanese knotweed. Resveratrol is used to fight cancer as well as to fight symptoms of Lyme disease. I've used Japanese knotweed as both a decoction and as a tincture. In order to make a decoction, I would take a small handful of this and I would toss it into a pot of maybe 4 cups of boiling water and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. This is the desired color of the Japanese knotweed tea. You want to get it pretty dark, and this is after simmering it for 20 minutes. Delicious. To make a tincture, I would take this, slices here, and I would lay them out on a screen. Once dry, I would pound them up in a mortar and pestle, and then put them into a jar and pour alcohol on it. There are two types of alcohol tinctures. There's a wet tincture and there's a dry tincture. Today we're going to be making a wet tincture. Wet tincture is fresh tincture. We just harvested this about 3 hours ago, and now we're chopped it up and put it into this jar to make a tincture. The main difference between a wet tincture and a dry tincture is that all the water is out of it. The dehydrated plant material in a dry tincture is more potent because it's not diluted with water, and the plant cell walls are more easily broken down. Today we're using a wet tincture just because it's quicker and we don't have to spend the time drying it. If you were going to use a dry tincture, there are several methods that you could use to dry the plant material. The first is the old-fashioned way. You can lay the material out on a screen like this, and you can put it up in a place that is pretty warm and dry. You want it to be dry and out of the rain, and almost just as importantly, out of the sun. Another method that we can use to dry the plant material would be to use a dehydrator. With a dehydrator, it requires electric. However, it goes quicker than if you were put it in a screen. Third method of drying plant material would be to put it in your oven. A good way to do it is to put it on the lowest temperature and then prop the oven open. That lets the moisture escape. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the fresh material and I'm going to pack it into this mason jar. Once you got it nice and packed in, we're going to take vodka. Anything that's 40% alcohol will work for this. We typically use vodka because it's clear and it's cheap. And you just pour it on top. It's important at this step in the process to fill up the whole jar with alcohol. You don't want to leave the plant material sticking out, because that will promote mold growth. To get all the air from out in between the plant material, a good way to do this is just to take a chopstick and poke around. That will help all the air bubbles come to the top. Once you're finished with that and all your plant material is covered, put the top back on, seal it up tight. We don't want to leave this in the sun. The sun will take some of the nutrients away. So what we want to do is put it in a shady area, relatively cool, not too hot but not too cold, and as often as you can, come by and give it a good shake just to get things going in there. We want the alcohol to be absorbing the nutrients from the Japanese knotweed, and the best way to do this is to aggravate it. It's a good idea to label your tinctures. When making the label for my tincture, I'll usually put the plant name. Sometimes I'll put its scientific name. I'll also put the date that I tinctured it. So today I'll put April 13th. I may also put what I'm tincturing it in. I'm going to state that I'm putting 40% alcohol. On top of being an immune system modulator and stimulant, and also used in treatments of cancer and Lyme disease, it's also a blood dissipator. It improves circulation and is also a cardioprotector. In the book Healing Lyme by Stephen Buhner, he talks about his core protocol to treat Lyme disease. As somebody who had Lyme disease myself, what I did to treat my Lyme disease was use Stephen Buhner's core protocol. Japanese knotweed is a main ingredient. Other herbs that I tinctured and added to it was astragalus root as well as cat's claw. I made tinctures of all 3 herbs and then I added them together to 1 bottle. What I do 3 times a day is shake it up, and I'll take, if this is a full dropper full, I will take 4 of these. But if I'm just taking Japanese knotweed, 2 dropper fulls 3 times a day is good.